What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Ruger, surprising with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC, and we are back with a banger episode. This is one of the biggest episodes we have to date, as we have your official UFC 325 predictions. Fresh off of UFC 324, we have another numbered event. Also, on today's episode, we'll be discussing the WWE Royal Rumble. You know, there's some people out there that love SummerSlam, that love WrestleMania. I'm a Royal Rumble guy. I never miss a Royal Rumble, even if I'm going to miss another WWE event. The Royal Rumble is one of the most exciting events you can watch in the WWE. So those are our two main topics on today, dropping our predictions for both of those events and talking about what we think is going to go down. You know, Volkanovski, Diego Lopez running it back, Dan Hooker, Benoit Saint Denis, Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Ruffy. You got some big fights on that card. And as for the men's and women's Royal Rumbles, those are absolutely massive. So a lot of fun stuff. I did want to record this Wednesday, but I've just been so busy with work, and my train was freaking late yesterday. And then I was late eating dinner, and it became 9 o'clock before I knew it, and I had to go to bed. So we're recording this 8 o'clock on a Thursday night. I don't care how late this is going to take us. We are not stopping until I give you all my predictions. But first, we kick off every single episode, a majority of the time, unless there's no new fights to talk about, but discussing new UFC fights. And we have a number of new fights to talk with you guys about. We have 10 new fights to discuss. So first up on the list, coming at you at UFC 327 in Miami, Florida, April 11th. They're slowly rolling out the fights for this card. Flyweight division, as one of the hottest prospects, Andre Lima, 11-0, 4-0 in the UFC, takes on the debuting Dong Hun Choi. Dong Hun Choi, undefeated. He won the road to the UFC last year. Kid's only 26 years old, and he is coming in hungry and ready to go. And as for Andre, you know, he turns 27 in February, so by the time this takes place, he will be 27. Bunch of young, hungry guys going at it, and I like it. I'm going with Andre Lima, but this is any man's fight. Next up, coming at you, UFC Vegas 113 on February 7th, Dustin Jacoby takes on Julius Walker. Now, it was supposed to be Yuran Satibaldi taking on Julius Walker, but instead out is Yuran and in is Dustin Jacoby. And this is a tough fight for Julius Walker, but I do want to say Julius Walker is 1-1 in the UFC. Win over Rafael Sequeira, only loss is a fight of the night to Alonzo Menafield, and the guy holds a win over former UFC fighter Bevan Lewis on the independent scene. He's also 27 years old, and he's taking on the vet Dustin Jacoby. I mean, Dustin 9-6-1 in the UFC. He's had some fun knockouts, and I'm actually pretty excited to see this. Big test for Julius, but I think I got to ride with my almost 40-year-old boy, Dustin Jacoby. Going to the men's welterweight division, Uros Medic, the 11-3 welterweight, will get a ranked shot. I have no idea how he's just randomly getting a ranked shot against the 16-7, the number 13th ranked Jeff Neal. And I think the main thing is here, they're giving Jeff a break. I mean, come on. Jeff Neal having to take on Shavkat Rakhmonov, having to take on Ian Gary, having to take on Carlos Prates. I mean, they honestly, actually, no, did he take on Carlos Prates? They had Jeff Neal take on someone who just utterly dominated him. It was Carlos Prates with the spinning back elbow. So this will be a bit of a break for Jeff Neal. He should be Uros Medic, if I'm being honest. But hey, at this point in his career, I don't know what's going to go down for either of them. Next up at UFC Vegas 114 on March 14th, Vitor Petrino was supposed to be fighting Kennedy Nzechukwu. Kennedy Nzechukwu out in steps my Minnesota boy, probably the biggest hope that Minnesota has, Steven Concrete Asplund. And Steven, coming in off the Contender Series, had a debut against Sean Sheriff, dominated him there. This will not be an easy fight for Sean Sheriff. For Steven Asplund. I'm probably not going to predict him to win, but Vitor Petrino, there is a chance he could chin him, but Vitor is very good, very skilled, and after his knockout of Thomas Peterson, yeah, this boy has serious knockout power. Vitor Petrino might be who I'm riding with. And then UFC 327 has a very, very fun featherweight matchup. One that I am just, I love when they have two vets square off. Two vets who just, they're not going to be fighting for a belt again in their careers. They're not going to be, going for the rankings, but we're giving them opportunities as Cub Swanson takes on Nate Lander. These guys are UFC vets, legends of the game, and I just love this. They're both nearing 40. I know Cub Swanson's already over 40. Nate's about 2 years away. So This is just a fun matchup. Both of them are coming off of some wars beforehand. And I know Cub Swanson is 29-15 in his career, and in his 45th career fight, I know for a fact he is hunting that 30th win. So, Nathan Train Landwehr, Cub Swanson, that's a super fun one on the prelims of UFC 327. Keeping it rolling, UFC Seattle has a light heavyweight matchup as Navajo Sterling takes on the 1-1 Bruno Lopez in the UFC. Bruno is 14-2, does hold a win over Magomed Godsaluev, and actually holds a win over Gregory Rodriguez on the independent scene. Fun fact. As for Navajo Sterling, 8-0 professionally, 3-0 in the UFC, with wins over Ivan Erslan, Tuco Tucos, and Rodolfo Bellato. I've liked both of these guys so far. I am going to go with Navajo Sterling. I do see more potential with him. So, Navajo Sterling over Bruno Lopez, that's probably what I would go with if I had to bet on that. But we'll see. You know, this doesn't take place till March 28th, so we have some time. After that, we head to the men's, where is they at? Featherweight division. Sometimes always just hiding the divisions underneath there. We have another debuting fighter as Curtis Campbell, 8-0, the Pink Panther, coming off his knockout of Mathus Lima on the Contender Series, takes on Danny Silva. Danny's gone 2-1 in the UFC. Nothing really notable to talk about with the guy. He is 10-2 professionally. I think this is a winnable fight for either guy, but I've just been loving these Season 9 fighters from the Contender Series. This has been one of the most dominant season of fighters making the jump from Contender Series to the UFC. Plus, he's got a tattoo of himself praying on his abdomen. It's a very unique tattoo, and I think it's going to propel him far in the UFC. Next up, UFC 327 has another prelim matchup as Kyle Dawkins, the Darce Knight, is back after finishing Gerald Meerschaert and Michelle Vera in round 1. He takes on Vicente Luque, and Vicente Luque hasn't been the best run of late. You know, obviously he picked up the win over Themba Grimbo. He lost to Joel Alvarez. He's lost to Kevin Holland. This is make or break it for him. And his decline was super steadfast. He had a championship opportunity if he beat Bilal Muhammad back in 2021, I think it was, and he just choked it. So now Kyle Dawkins looks to capitalize on him. Kyle has since come back to the UFC and looked just like a whole new fighter since his first run. And yeah, he should probably win that one, but don't count off Vicente Luque. He's still a legend of the game. Little women's matchup to make you aware of at UFC Seattle, March 28th, women's strawweight division, as Stephanie Luciano, who is 2-1 in the UFC with wins over Talita Alencar and Ravina Oliveira, takes on the debuting Carol Foro. Carol Foro, of course, holds a win over Chanel Dyer, former fighter in the UFC, and won on the Contender Series. So Carol Foro, welcome to the UFC, but we'll have to see how you do. I don't really know how it's going to go for you. But let's talk about the final matchup. UFC Vegas 115, April 4th, the latest fight announced. Thomas the Train Peterson back again. I mean, this is his 6th UFC fight. I have no idea how he's been given this many, but he'll be taking on Guilherme Kong Pat. And Guilherme Pat knocked Alan Fry out ridiculously in easy fashion, also knocked out Luis Oliveira. The dude's just a knockout wrecking machine in the heavyweight division. So Thomas Peterson, get this fight to the ground as soon as you can, or else I think Guilherme Pat is going to make quick work of him. The one thing I will say is that, size-wise, Thomas may have a bit of a reach, but I don't know. UFC Vegas 115, April 4th. I'm not ready for these Apex events. I've loved the numbered events, so it's going to kind of be boring when we go back to the Apex, but hey, it is what it is. They all can't be 10 out of 10 fights. So with that, we will proceed and keep on rolling. I do want to say is that this is just completely a side note that as I'm reading the fights here, I noticed that EA Sports has been announcing that they're still not doing a UFC 6. We've had UFC 5 for goodness me, way too long. So can we get a new UFC video game? I don't even play video games anymore, but I just want a new game. So that's just a little side note I want to make there in case anyone listening is curious. But yes, those are a bunch of new UFC fights, a lot of fun stuff. And I'll tell you what else is going to be fun. It's going to be the Royal Rumble this Saturday. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. This Saturday, you have the WWE Royal Rumble 2026, and it's coming to you from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's right. The Saudis have gotten to the WWE. That Saudi money is unbeatable. They literally built a venue for this. It's called the King Abdullah Financial District. They built a freaking stadium with thousands upon thousands of seats. And yeah, should be an interesting event. The Royal Rumble is always exciting. If you don't know what the Royal Rumble is, the entire premise is that 30 men come out one by one, and if you go over the top rope, you are eliminated. And whoever the final person is the victor. And, of course, we have a men's and a women's Royal Rumble winner, and whoever wins gets a championship matchup at WrestleMania. This year, WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. And we have 4 matches on this card, so we will go through each and every one and discuss what I think will happen. As in past years, I think they're going to open up this year with the women's Royal Rumble. It never fails to open with the Women's Royal Rumble, and we're also in Saudi Arabia, where they tend to care a little bit less about the women. Not going to say there's some sexism going on, but there just may be. As far as the women's goes, 17 of the 30 entrants have already been announced, which means there's only a maximum 13 surprises. So far, you have Becky Lynch and Maxine Dupree, Asuka, Lyra Valkyria, Bayley, Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, all from Raw. Then Chelsea Green, Jordan Grace, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, Lash Legend, and Julia, all from SmackDown. Now, out of all of those, I'm going to say I'm picking Liv Morgan to win. I really think Liv Morgan has an excellent shot this year. She's always the runner-up. Now feels like the year her and Stephanie Vaquer, even her and Raquel Rodriguez, have a championship matchup at WrestleMania. I can definitely see it. The other option, and it is if a returning Bianca Belair comes back, then she will take on Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. So it's either one of those two, and as of right now, I don't know how long Bianca Belair will be out with whatever injury she has, so I will go with Liv Morgan to win. But in terms of everyone in this, I hope there's a moment where it's like Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley all facing off, because just like all the big hitters from this company. As far as some surprises of the other 13 not announced, I can see some of the ladies from NXT. They have a lot of killers down there. I could even see some people from TNA. And then you obviously are always going to have your legends, your Beth Phoenixes, probably not her, but your Trish Stratus's, maybe Tiffany Stratton returns. Maybe you have Lita in this. I don't know. But Women's Royal Rumble is, historically, kind of whatever. But this year, a lot of potential, a lot of uncertainty in both Rumbles, but I'm going to go with Liv Morgan to win. Next up, I think they're going to go with the retirement match, the career-threatening match, AJ Styles versus Gunther. And a while ago, it was like, oh, there's no way AJ Styles is retiring at the Royal Rumble. And then AJ Styles has been squaring off with Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, CM Punk. My man has been having dream matches to end out his run. So, yeah, I definitely think Gunther is going to retire his third legend in the last year. He's already retired Goldberg and John Cena, and now he's coming for AJ Styles, which is just utterly insane. So, yeah, if AJ Styles loses, he will retire from in-ring competition. And unless they're going to drag this feud out to WrestleMania, I feel like now's the time to have AJ Styles, have his little send-off. It's crazy how quick it came up, but along the way, we kind of, didn't even realize that it was his retirement. He was having these legendary tag team matches. He was facing off with a bunch of legends left, right, and center. And here he is probably going to retire on this event. So I do hope that maybe it's not the end of AJ Styles, but there always still is the chance that it is. So we're going to pick Gunther, but I do have a theory. Guys. I'll actually throw it out there. And that if Chris Jericho is returning to WWE, having AJ Styles' retirement match against Chris Jericho at WrestleMania would be so poetic. I would love that so much. However, I don't think that they're going to do that. I think they're just going to have Gunther tap him out, and that's going to be that. So Gunther taps out AJ Styles to end his career. Next up, WWE Undisputed Championship matchup, Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. And this one's kind of up in the air, because I feel like a lot of people, think that it's just a lock for Drew McIntyre, which I will be picking him. But I do want to make the case, is that we're in Saudi Arabia. The Saudis love Sami Zayn. I also want to say that Sami Zayn could very well win here and just go into WrestleMania as WWE Champion. Like, anything can happen. I've seen the WWE Championship change on these Royal Rumble events. I think back to 2009, when I'm pretty sure they had both belts change hands. I'm also trying to think of what other cards did they have? 2010? No. 2011? No. 2012? 13? 13, the belts changed. 14, I don't know. But, yeah, the belts have changed, okay? The WWE Championship has changed on the Royal Rumble event, and I definitely could see it taking place here. I know I really could, and I hope it does, but I don't think it's going to. I think Drew McIntyre wins. I think they have Sami Zayn on here just to give a glimpse of hope to the Saudi Arabians. Now, I don't know what Sami Zayn's journey is. Some people are saying he loses here and then comes back in the Rumble to, win the Royal Rumble. Goodness, I pray not, because I am not a big Sami Zayn guy, but I just hope for an entertaining matchup, and it's the perfect match to follow up if we do end up seeing AJ Styles, retire, because that would be a very emotional and sad moment, and we would need something to fill the gap afterwards. So, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn should be entertaining. But then we get into the cream of the crop, the big shebang, what everyone's excited for. That is the Royal Rumble. That is right, the Men's Royal Rumble. And to my dismay, they're literally announcing everyone left, right, and center who's going to be in this. 17 of the 30 already announced. So they've just decided to let everyone know, hey, 17 men and 17 women are going to be in this. That's no fun. We know Cody Rhodes is, Gunther, Jey Uso, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, Penta, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, Austin Theory, Javon Evans, Obafemi, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar. Now pause. Pause for a second. That's an awesome lineup. All right, we're going to definitely have some fun moments where you have the Vision, Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, Austin Theory, Braun Breaker all in there, and you're probably going to have them squaring off with Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and Penta. Jey Uso is going to get some big pops. Gunther, presumably having beaten AJ Styles, is going to come back in here. I could easily see him being number 30. You're going to have Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes interacting in here, Randy Orton as well. You're going to have Brock Lesnar in this. Very curious to see what they do with him. And as well, Obafemi will be in this as well. So excited to see what Obafemi does. But of those 17 currently announced, I do believe the winner is in there. Now, for some surprises, I'm sure you're going to see your Zack Ryders, maybe a Dolph Ziggler, maybe Joe Hendry, maybe Ricky Saints. You're going to see some NXT guys. Chris Jericho, I can all but guarantee, is going to be a surprise entrance to this, which, by the way, that pop is going to be ridiculous. And I hope they bring back some legends as well. But when we break down who's currently in here, okay? Cody Rhodes. All right, Cody Rhodes winning here. It would be his third Royal Rumble. I presume he would go to WrestleMania to rematch Drew McIntyre or maybe take on CM Punk if he is still champion there. I could easily see them doing that. I could also see them giving it to Gunther. Quite literally, Gunther wins everything. Easily can see that. Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, Penta, definitely not. I think we're going to be sending Penta and Dragon Lee to the tag team sphere, and I hope they do Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio in Rey Mysterio's retirement match. Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, I don't really see that. I do think there's a case for Jacob Fatu. I think him and Cody Rhodes might eliminate each other and they might feud a bit more, but Solo Sikoa, he's just going to be in there for comedic relief. He'll probably have an interaction with Roman Reigns, who I do think is probably the favorite to win. I think Roman Reigns has an excellent chance to win the Royal Rumble. I definitely can see them going with him just because he's only ever won one, and that was over a decade ago, okay? Everyone's saying, oh, Roman Reigns always wins the Royal Rumble or something. No, not the case. Now, also, you have the Vision, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, Austin Theory, and going into this, I was all Braun Breaker. I'm like, Braun Breaker's going to win the Royal Rumble. He's going to WrestleMania, but now I just don't really know. I don't know what they've been doing with Braun Breaker. I almost feel like him and Adam Pearce are going to have a match. Very weird what's going on with him. Javon Evans, he's going to be fun. This will be either his second or first Rumble. I can't remember. And that's for Obafemi. I think everyone wants Obafemi to have his first ever WWE match on the main roster, be winning the Royal Rumble, but WWE is not bold. They're not as bold as they used to be, and Obafemi's not going to win. You then have Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar, two legends. I don't know what feuds they're going to get into, but winning the Royal Rumble, I don't see it. So that comes into my big three. My big three here. Oh, I forgot to mention Jey Uso. Yeah, Jey Uso going back-to-back, right? That's what everyone wants. I forgot to mention that. No, I'm being sarcastic. But I think the big three here are Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and presumably, I'm going to go Braun Breaker, actually. I'm going to go Braun Breaker over Gunther. I think Braun Breaker is in star territory. And when I look at, the history of the Royal Rumble, we're going to look at the last 10 years. Last 10 years of the Royal Rumble. 2015, obviously very bad with Roman Reigns winning. One of the worst Royal Rumbles ever. Actually, 2014, they fumbled with Batista winning. Actually, 2013, they fumbled. It's been a while since they had a good Royal Rumble winner. Let's see here. 2017, Randy Orton winning. Probably could have been someone else. 2018, Shinsuke was good, but they fumbled. 2019, Seth Rollins actually paid off. 2020, Drew McIntyre, COVID. 2021, Edge, COVID. 2022, Brock Lesnar, pointless. Then we had 23 and 24, Cody Rhodes, and then, of course, Jey Uso last year. So this feels like a fresh start for the Rumble. I feel like you can actually do something with whoever wins here. And, WrestleMania is very unpredictable right now. It is impossible to know what they're going to be going with WrestleMania. But, there was at a point talk of Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. But Cody Rhodes isn't champion anymore. We also have to talk about the fact that they were discussing Roman Reigns winning to then go take on CM Punk. They could do that. But what I think they may do, and this could be very, very bold of me, is they could have someone win who is just kind of, floating under the radar. Okay, someone who not anyone is, keeping their eyes on. All right, and I'm going to be honest. They could give it to Chris Jericho. They could give it to Chris Jericho. Okay, I would love to see it, but something tells me he'll just be a Final Four contestant in this matchup, and he'll feud with a Randy Orton, with a AJ Styles if he's still around, maybe even a Gunther. Okay, but I do think that the winner of this, I want to say Roman Reigns, but just doesn't feel like it. Roman Reigns just hasn't been appearing. I really don't know, and I think this is something exciting about the Rumble this year. Is like, even as I'm doing my live dialogue with you guys, I still cannot figure out who to choose. So I am going to go with the favorite, just as I picked Liv Morgan. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. Because last year I had John Cena, and they gave it to Jey Uso. So clearly anything could happen. But I do think if you're going to have Roman Reigns win one more Rumble, this is the year. Give him one big run. He's already on the poster for WrestleMania 42. Let's make it happen. So Roman Reigns to win the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, and you already know that they're going to be having a big pop, for Roman Reigns winning. They're smart here. Okay, you're going to have Liv Morgan win. They love her there. They're going to have Sami Zayn almost win. You're probably going to have Gunther get a big boo, and then you'll have Roman Reigns win to get a big pop. So that's the Royal Rumble. Very excited for it, and I'm so excited for once it's over for us to discuss it. But the good news is you can watch this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or 12 or 2, wherever you are in the United States, because it is on at nighttime in the Saudi Arabia universe. And then once you're done with that, you can come back over and watch UFC 325. So yes, UFC 325 going down this weekend, and we have a bunch more fights to predict to you guys. And we went 7-5 last time out. Okay, not my best. Not my best. You may be like, Zach, 7-5. That's actually pretty good. You predicted over 50% of the matchups. Yes, but I don't want to predict 50%. I want to predict 100%. I am a, perfectionist at heart. So we have a plethora of fights to discuss. And what we're going to do, actually, is once we're done, I'm going to load up my phone live on the podcast, and we are going to place a live bet. And I'm going to let you know how much money we're going to win. So follow along, kids. Make sure you're noting who we're picking, because we are about to win a boatload of money here on the podcast. Who's for that? Who is all in for that? I always drop my predictions. Sometimes I've had 2 cards. I've had 2 cards where I predicted every single fight correctly, and I probably could have made a boatload of money, and that's the goal. And I don't encourage gambling. If you want to gamble, sure, only gamble if you're able to. Now, did I place a random bet on the Mavericks and Nuggets without knowing a single thing about the NBA season this year? Yes, but that's not the point, guys. Okay, it's not the point. Let's not waste any time. It's 8:30, and I still want some time to enjoy my Thursday night. So, kicking things off, men's flyweight division, we have 4 road to the UFC matchups to open up our card. So, kicking us off, we head to the men's flyweight division as Aaron Tauzamup Tau takes on Namzri Step Warrior Badbari. If you can't tell, they have very foreign names. Aaron is 11-1, Namzri is 9-1. Both men are 5'4", 2 inches in reach for Namzri. Switch stance for Tau, orthodox for Namzri Badbar. And coming into this one, I believe Aaron Tau is a slight underdog at plus 125. So, yeah, keep your eyes on that for sure. We'll look at him first. He had a nice little run. He actually fought on Season 8 of the Contender Series, lost to Elijah Smith by decision, came back on road to the UFC, round 1 TKO, and a dominant decision back in August to win. So now he's here, taking on Namzri Badbar. And Aaron Tau, by the way, is 32 years old, from Auckland, trains at City Kickboxing with Dan Hooker, Adesanya, that whole crew. He is on a 3-fight winning streak and has 8 of his 11 wins by finish with 7 knockouts. His opponent, Namzri Badbar, 2 finishes on road to the UFC with a round 2 knockout and a round 1 submission, so he can do it all. He is 25 years old, from Mongolia, and rides a 6-fight winning streak. He has a 100% finish rate, and his only loss was by submission to Nyamjergal, to Timbaro, whatever, a former guy who's fought in the UFC. So, very interesting here. Don't really know who to go with. I don't, because a part of me really likes Aaron Tau. If you don't know what Aaron Tau looks like, just so you're aware, he has that style of Samoan tattoo where it's like, picture what Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, picture what Tai Tuivasa, picture what, all those guys, Justin Taffa, picture what those guys have, the style tattoo, but he has it on his face. Okay, he has that Samoan, like, kind of Australian, I don't even know if it's Samoan, it's like Australian, stuff on his face, so I really like the look to him, but, I don't know if that's enough to, get you to be picked, Natsuri, he's been doing pretty good, Namsri, I'm sorry, and 100% finish rate, I really do like him. Not Tai Tuivasa, Aaron Tao, he, trying to find holes in his game, all right, is kind of tricky. But I look at his last fight, and he was taken down in round number 2, and he was able to get back up after hardly being put down 10 seconds. He also landed some very nice significant striking, 80 to 94, so he was out significant struck and still managed to win. The one thing I'll say is he did win the first 2 rounds and then dropped the third, at least on 2 judges' scorecards. So I'm very torn on what to go with, but when there's a chance for an underdog, last week we did not capitalize, and this week we're capitalizing. Give me Aaron Tao. That is right. Now, it's risky to open my parlay with an underdog, but that is why we do multiple parlays. Oopsie, don't tell me anyone I'm doing that. All right, next Contender Series matchup, or not Contender Series, Road to the UFC. So many things the UFC does. We have Sulangrangbo. That's right, a one-word name. Taking on Lawrence Lokyin Liu. Lawrence Liu, nice to meet you. He's 7-1. Sulangrangbo is 10-3. Sulangrangbo I love saying his name, has 2 inches in height, but 6 inches in reach for Lawrence Liu. Goodness me. Southpaw for Sulangrangbo and Orthodox for Louis here. And Sulangrangbo, he's young, guys. You may be like, how young? He was born July 2005. Goodness me. This is a young boy. He is only 20 years old, and yeah, he's hungry. He's ready. He's from China. He's on a 9-fight winning streak. Trains at Embo Fight Club, the same gym as a number of good UFC fighters. Yezha, Rongzhu, you name them, a bunch from that Shanghai card we watched. 6 KOs and 1 sub, give him 7 of his 10 victories by finish, and he's been a pro since 2021, which if you do the math there, that is correct. He has been a pro since he was 16 years old. Kid had a round 1 TKO and a decision win on the Contenders, or not the Contender Series, Road to the UFC. I keep saying that. Dominant stuff. For Lawrence Liu, he's 29. He's from Auckland. Also trains at City Kickboxing. 4-fight winning streak with 4 knockouts out of his 7 wins. Did land a knockout on the road to the UFC. And as much as I would love to pick you, Lawrence Liu, I'm sorry, I can't pick all the Australians on this card, right? That just makes no sense. So we are going to be going with Sulangrangbo. He's 20 years old, and they breed him differently out in China. I mean, look at Song Yedong. Look at Yao Ming. Look at all the great Chinese people. Zhao Mengdong. Oh, wait, he might have been a communist. But, anyways, you get my point, all right? These Chinese boys, they grow them up well over there, and Sulangrangbo is coming over to win. I don't even know if he's the underdog or not. We'll find out at the end of the show. Featherweight division up next as Kichiro Nakamura takes on Sebastian Seb Slay. Kichiro is 7-1. Sebastian is 10-1. 4 inches in height for Kichiro and 4 inches in reach. So Kichiro has the size. He's also the favorite. 27 years old from Japan. 6 of his 7 wins. 6-7 are by knockout. And he is on a 7-fight winning streak. Lost his first ever pro fight and has never turned back. Had a round 2 knee knockout on the road to the UFC and a decision victory. As for his opponent, Sebastian Slay, he is 31 years old from Perth. 8-fight winning streak. He also has 2 knockouts and 1 sub, so kind of a decision machine, but he is coming off a 47-second knockout. And I liked what I saw from Sebastian on the highlights. He's also been on himself a little winning streak, and he also is at a size disadvantage, which I want to see him capitalize on. So we're going to go with Sebastian Sazazle to get the victory here. Is it wise? I don't know, guys. I don't know a single thing about these people. Once we get through these Road to the UFC, maybe I should do a whole nother parlay, because I actually recognize all the names we're about to see. But the final Road to the UFC matchup is Sang-Wook Kim, the Frogman, taking on Dom Marfan, Street Buddha. Wow. I have no words for their nicknames or their real names. 1 inch in height for Sang-Wook Kim, who is 13-3, and 4 inches in reach for Dom Marfan, who is 8-2. Both men fight in the orthodox stance, and a 7-year age gap favors Dom Marfan as the younger fighter. Dom Marfan coming in 2 decision victories, both using his grappling. 25 years old, he's from Brisbane, Australia, on a 4-fight winning streak, and 1 KO and 3 subs. Both of his losses have come by sub, and they both came to Quinlan Sakiad, who is Clearly one of the best prospects to come out of Australia in the last 2 years. His opponent, Sang Wook Kim, is coming into this one, 32 years old from Seoul, South Korea, also on a 4-fight winning streak. He is coming into, where's my little notes here? 5 knockouts and 4 subs, 9 of 13 wins by finish. He was on season 2 of Road to the UFC, where he actually got a round 1 Darce and lost to Rong Zhu. He came back, 2 round 2 finishes. He's looked good. I don't know who to pick. I'm going to be honest. I don't, but so far I've picked 2 Australians and 1 foreigner. So we'll split them here. We're not saying every single Aussie is going to win this one. Alrighty, give me Sang Wook Kim to get it done. Plus, I have a soft spot for my South Korean fighters. I don't know if it's, Duo Choi. I don't know if it's Chang Sung Jung. I love me some South Korean fighters. So keep them coming. I love them. And let's get into the actual card now. Well, I guess this is actually part of the card, but now we're through all the Road to the UFC fights. Getting into fighters that have actually been in the UFC. Khan Genghis Offley is back to take on Yizha. Well, I guess the goofy nicknames don't end here. Khan Offley is the underdog coming into this one, plus 180. Yizha, minus 220 favorite. Khan Offley is 13-4. Yizha, 26-5. Both men are 5'7" and 5 inches in reach. Does favor Yizha. We'll start with Khan Offley, though. Khan Offley, runner-up on The Ultimate Fighter Season 32. He's from Melbourne. 8 of his 13 wins are by finish with 6 submissions. And he's 32 years old, if I didn't already mention that. He lost to Muhammad Naimov in his second UFC fight back in February, but then in October, submitted Ricardo Ramos in 3 minutes. So clearly, he can still have some ability. We'll see how he does against Yizha, who absolutely murdered Weston Wilson in 37 seconds back in Shanghai. And when I look at Yizha's career, he's actually done pretty freaking good. The 29-year-old from China fights out of Embo Fight Club, which I was just talking about. 20 of his 26 wins are by finish, 6 knockouts, 14 subs, and he's only ever been finished twice. Only losses in the UFC are to Gabriel Santos and Jiyoung Lee. And so far, I've liked what I've seen from him. He's a finishing machine. So we're going to go with Yizha in this one. I do like Yizha. I've liked what I've seen from him here. And I hope he doesn't lose, because I do like myself a little Yizha here and there. Next up, we have Jonathan Mikhailov taking on Oban Elliott. And, I was all locks on Oban Elliott making a run to the top. And then he was kind of stopped pretty presumptively last year. Sung Hyuk Ko exposed his grappling weakness, and, kind of hasn't looked the same since. For Jonathan Mikhailov, he's 8-1. He's 6 feet tall, and he fights southpaw. He also has a 5-inch reach over the Welsh gangster, Oban Elliott. Jonathan, the Captain Mikhailov, is the minus 145 favorite. He's 26 years old from Australia and is on a 3-fight winning streak. He has 2 knockouts and 3 subs out of his 8 victories, and he was supposed to fight against Oban Elliott on September 27th in Perth, and that never happened. So Jonathan Mikhailov actually hasn't fought in a year. He last fought at UFC 312. Picked up a win over Kevin Jousset. Looked pretty good in that, but we'll see how he looks being a year out when he takes on the Welsh gangster, Oban Elliott. He's 28 years old from Wales and trains at Jack Shore's MMA gym. 6 of his 12 wins are by finish, split, 3 KOs, 3 subs, and of his 3 losses, he's been knocked out twice. Kind of tricky. I do see Oban Elliott as a underdog here being a fun pick. And I'm just trying to remember, Jonathan Mikhailov holding a win over Kevin Jousset isn't the most impressive victory. He also couldn't get him out of there. And when I look at Oban Elliott, I don't know if Jonathan Mikhailov is going to grapple. I think he's a striker. So, if anything, I'm not banking that Oban Elliott's chin has failed us yet. I do know that he's been, rocked pretty hard, but I don't know. I was all sold on Jonathan Mikhailov, and now, as we're talking here, me and my audience, I think I'm going to go with Oban Elliott. Cheeky underdog predictions. The underdogs are you get your parlay all juiced up. And we know that not every favorite's going to win. There's also some massive favorites on the main card we have to pick. I'm sorry if you look at last week for any favorites we missed, you had to pick them. Goodness me. So we're going to go with Oban Elliott. And, I haven't really been predicting finishes so far, but I'm going to say Oban gets a knockout. I think Jonathan Mikhailov is just hanging his chin out there, and people are going to be like, why aren't you putting your guards up? And he's going to get knocked out. That's my little mini prediction there. Next up, middleweight division. If you love grappling, I tune into this one because you're going to get a lot of it. Jacob Mamba Malkoun takes on Torres the Punisher Finney. Jacob Malkoun, 8-3. Torres Finney, 11-0. 1 inch in height for Jacob, 2 inches reach for Torres Finney. They both stand in the orthodox fighting position. And this is a mean fight. Left, right, and center, it's a mean fight. And for some reason, Jacob Malkoun is the favorite here. I have no idea how he's the favorite. He's 30 years old from Australia, 3 knockouts of his 8 wins. He's 4-3 in the UFC. So yes, he debuted, but he was only 4-0. Of course, knocked out by Phil Haas at 18 seconds. He was supposed to fight Rodolfo Vieira back in February of 2025. That fight fell apart, and he just never got a fight booked the rest of the year. So he has not fought since March of 2024 when he had that weird knee knockout or hip knockout of Andre Petroski. Very weird. Before that, he had a DQ loss to Cody Brundage, and before that, he defeated Nick Maximoff. So Jacob Malkoun has just not been active, and I'll tell you who is active, but he's also very goofy, Torres Fitty. Torres Fitty is 27 years old, from Georgia. 8 of his 11 wins are by finish, by the way. The guy has a good finishing rate. He was supposed to fight Azamat Bekov on August 2nd. Unfortunately, had to pull out of that one. Stuff happens, guys. No worries. And then he's, 3-0 on Dana White's Contender Series 2, if you didn't know. And you may go, Zach, 3-0 on Dana White's Contender Series. Oh, he must have lost before. Wait a second, Zach. You said he's 3-0, which means he hasn't lost. That's right. This guy is so boring grappling. He won his first fight on Season 7, and they said, yeah, just not good. Fought on Season 8. So boring they didn't sign him. They then gave him one more shot, actually on my birthday 2 years ago, and he was able to get a round 1 finish. And then they bring him to the UFC, and he legit gets 13 minutes and 16 seconds of control time, only landing 4 significant strikes against Robert Valentine. It was so bad, he almost lost a split decision. It was so bad, but this is grappling. And Jacob Malkoun, I'm sorry, Torres Finney's an underdog, and he's going to out-grapple you. This is going to be a meme fight. And, is it going to be exciting? I guarantee you it's probably not going to be. But maybe it's that mix where you have 2 grapplers that don't really want to grapple. They end up striking. Could be the case, but they're both takedown machines. We'll see what happens. Next up, middleweight division. Again, Cam Rouston, Cody Brundage. I don't have much to say here. Cam Rouston is 6'3". Cody Brundage is 6 foot. Cam Rouston has a 78-inch reach. Cody Brundage has a 72-inch reach. Cam Rouston is 13-3. Cody Brundage is 11-7 with a draw and no contest. Cody Brundage's UFC record is actually 5-6-1-1. Didn't even know that was possible. So Cody Brundage, obviously the underdog here, 31 years old from Colorado, 9 finishes out of his 11 victories in his career. 4 of his 7 losses he's been finished in. He hasn't won a fight since March of 2025. Recently lost to Eric McConko in August. Now that was a bogus decision, might I add. But yeah, Cam Rouston should make easy work of him. From Sydney, Australia, trains at City Kickboxing. Dude's been on a 5-fight winning streak. 12 of his 13 wins are by finish, 5 KOs, 7 subs. And, of his 3 losses, he's actually lost to Jacob Malkoun and Torres Finney. Funny enough that he's lost to both of those guys. But last 2 fights, Season 9 of the Contender Series in August, round 1 knockout. Debuted against Andre Petroski in Perth in September. Round 1 knockout. Let's keep it going. Cam Rouston's a striking machine. Absolutely love him. Round 1 knockout for Cam Rouston. He's an easy favorite. He should be locked for money. But I will say, you gotta be careful with Cody Brundage. He makes fights very, very odd. And then we get into the final prelim of the night. The final prelim, light heavyweight division. Junior the Juggernaut Taffa is back. Will he win a fight? I doubt it. He's taking on Billy, son of Susie Alicana. Okay, and Junior Taffa is 6-4. That's just an awful record, just period. Billy Alicana is 9-2. Billy's obviously the minus 220 favorite here. They're both 6'3". 2 inches in reach do go to Billy Alicana, and he fights southpaw as opposed to orthodox for Junior Taffa. Now Taffa, the plus 180 underdog, is 29 years young from Australia. 6 wins, 6 knockouts, 4 losses, 3 times finished. 2-4 in the UFC. That is right. He came in 4-0. He has since lost 4 fights and only won 2. He was actually supposed to fight Ibo Aslan back in Perth. Oh no, he pulled out. So Junior Taffa has just not had a good run. He is the younger brother of Justin Taffa. Debuted against Mohamed Usman. Couldn't even land anything clean. Then knocks out Parker Porter. Yay! Then gets knocked out by Marcos Sergio de Lima with leg kicks. Then gets heel hooked by Walter Walker. Then knocks out Sean Sheriff. Then gets grappled to death in an easy win he should have had over Tuco Tucos last July. So, not the best run for Billy Alicana, or not for Billy Alicana, for Junior Taffa. For Billy Alicana, this guy's had a good run since joining the UFC. 30 years old from Vegas. 5 of his, how many wins? 9 wins are by finish. Debuted on short notice against Bogdan Guskov and actually almost submitted him in round number 1. Unfortunately, did lose to him, but bounced back with wins over Ibo Aslan and even submitting Kevin Christian. I really like Billy Alicana here. The name of the game is to get this fight to the ground. And as I saw with Tuco Tucos, Junior Tafa has 0 grappling. So this could be a fight where Junior Tafa just lands a big old knockout punch, but I do think Billy Elkanah is smart enough of an MMA fighter to not leave his chin out there in the air. So I am going to go with Billy Elkanah, round 1 submission. If he can do the same thing he did against Kevin Christian, like, guys, I kid you not, he just took him down and, did what he had to. He actually dropped him, too, so that helps as well. When you knock someone down, then immediately lock in a rear naked choke. So, Billy Elkanah, do your thing. This prelims parlay is going to be very, very tough. Now, when we get into the main card, here's the interesting point. I just know I can't pick every favorite. So, when I go through these, I definitely see 2 favorites I'm going to go with. But let's start off with what is probably going to be the biggest favorite on this card. His odds keep swelling to a point where I don't even know why Jamie Mullarkey is showing up here. Quinlan Sakiad, the 2025 Surprise Jet Podcast Rookie of the Year, is back. One of the greatest knockouts I've ever seen against Nasrat Haqpasarat last year, and the kid's back. 26 years old from Perth, 10-fight winning streak. He's also 10-1. 6 feet tall, 75-inch reach. He's only 26 years old. Dude's a killer. 4 KOs and 3 subs. So, oddly enough, I mean, you'd be surprised he wasn't getting that many finishes on the independent scene. It's as funny as it is. But, 10-1. My bad. I was looking at Jamie Mullarkey's record. No, so 70% finish rate for Quinlan Sakiad. He was actually supposed to fight Rong Zhu, which would have been a banger, but Rong Zhu had to pull out. So in steps Jamie Mullarkey to be a sacrificial lamb. Quinlan Sakiad, 3-0 last year in his debuting year with 2 round 1 performance of the night knockouts. And he also used his grappling to beat Yanal Ashmov. So Quinlan Sakiad, last time I checked, he was like minus 1,200. So we're going to see if those odds actually dip down at all, because it is very crazy what's going on with those odds. For Jamie Mullarkey, all you can do is pray, my good friend. 31 years old from Australia, 13 finishes of his 18 wins. But of his 8 losses, he's been KO'd 6 times. He's 6-6 in the UFC. Fun fact, he actually fought Alexander Volkanovski a decade ago, before either of them were in the UFC. Jamie has just fought in a lot of tough guys in the UFC. Brad Riddell, Fair-Ziam, Jalen Turner, Michael Johnson, Mauricio Ruffy, and he is coming off a win over Rolando Bedoya. But Jamie Mullarkey, round 1 knockout. I would put my mortgage on it, and you probably wouldn't win much. You could put a Bitcoin on this, and you'd probably only win a couple $100. So Quinlan Sakiad, my lock of the night. I really just it would have to be an Alexander Pantoja injury, and it counts as a win for Jamie Mullarkey. There's just no shot that Jamie is going to win this with his skills alone. He's going to need some shenanigans for anything, but Quinlan Sakiad is definitely going to get the people going, as Will Ferrell said in Blades of Glory. Next up, heavyweight division, and the odds are back at it again. Talishon Teixeira, you're minus 400, not 4,000 favorite over the plus 250 Tai Tuivasa. Yeah, Tai Tuivasa. Oh, you haven't fought in 2 years, Tai. Oh, welcome back. You get to take on the 6'7" wrecking machine, Talishon Teixeira. Congratulations, my friend. But I kid you not, 6'7" to 6'2". 83-inch reach to 75-inch reach. Orthodox for Talishon, southpaw for Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa. Tai is 32 years old from Australia, and out of his 15 wins, has 13 knockouts. Of his 8 losses, he's been finished 6 times. Now, he's got 8-8 in the UFC. He also hasn't won a fight in 4 years. That is right. I mean, he's been knocked out. He's been submitted. He hasn't fought since August of 2024. Last win was Derek Lewis at UFC 271. Rip Tai Tuivasa. It's a shame that you have to face Talishon Teixeira. Talishon, 26 years old from Sao Paulo, 8 wins, 8 finishes, all in round 1. Only career losses to Derek Lewis. Oh, man, this might even be more of a lock. I mean, this is literally Talishon Teixeira versus Justin Tafa 2.0. Go and rewatch UFC 312. Third fight on the main card, Talishon Teixeira, Justin Tafa. It's literally the exact same fight. So, round 1 knockout for Talishon Teixeira. I'm not a big fan of him. I don't like his ego or cockiness, and I don't think he's stylistically the best. But the only thing I can hope for is that I put some money on Talishon and Justin Tafa chins him, because I won't even be mad. There's sometimes I'll be mad, but other times I'll go crazy. So it's a win-win for Zachary, because I do like Tai Tuivasa, but I just don't think he's going to win. So I'm going to be going with Talishon Teixeira. Next up, we get into the big 3. The big 3 of the evening. First one, lightweight division. Rafael Ottoman Fiziev, the number 9 ranked Men's lightweight takes on the number 14th ranked Mauricio Ruffi. Rafael is 13-4. Mauricio Ruffi is 12-2. 5'11". 5'11 to 5'8", 3 inches in height for Mauricio Ruffi, and 4 inches in reach as well for Mr. Ruffi. Orthodox style for him, switch stance for Rafael Fiziev. And as of right now, the odds makers cannot decide. Keep flip-flopping who's the favorite, who's not. Just know this is even. This is very even, and the tricky thing with these two is figuring out what style they bring. So first off, let me paint the picture here. Rafael Fiziev is 32 years old, born in Kazakhstan, now trains out of Thailand at Tiger Muay Thai Gym. He's a kickboxer. Really good at the leg kicks, really good with the striking, has helped train a lot of guys. 9 of his 13 wins are by finish with 8 knockouts. Of his 4 defeats, he's only ever been finished twice, and both of them have just come from kind of shocking moments. He's 7-4 in the UFC, and he was actually supposed to fight Charles Oliveira in the main event back in October. Rafael Fiziev was on a great run before he ran to Justin Gaethje in 2023. He would get injured against Mateusz Gamrot and wouldn't come back until March of 2025. He would lose against Justin Gaethje at his return fight, but then would pick up a win at UFC Baku over Ignacio Bahamondes. Unfortunately, he showcased a new style where all he does is grapple, so keep your eyes on that for this matchup. Now for Mauricio Ruffi, the one thing evident is this guy can strike. Currently the favorite here, 29 years old from Sao Paulo, Brazil. He is, of course, with the Fighting Nerds. 11 of his 12 wins are by knockout, and both of his career losses have come by finish. One by knockout, one by sub. Came into the UFC, kind of took it by storm. 2024, 2 wins, kicked off 2025 with one of the best knockouts we've seen against King Green, and then ran into Benoit Saint-Denis. And the grappling was exposed here. Now, Benoit Saint-Denis, we're literally going to talk about him in a minute here. He has great grappling. He really does. And my one thing for this fight, I want to see Mauricio Ruffi knock out Fiziev. I'm going to be honest. But what I'm really feeling here is Rafael Fiziev is going to not fight as a kickboxer. He's going to fight as a mixed martial artist. And if the striking ever starts to seem like Fiziev is getting the better of him, he's going to take him down. And I just don't think Mauricio Ruffi has improved his grappling. It's a tale as old as time, is the saying, I believe. And I just think he's going to get taken down. And that's just going to be end of the game. And Fiziev, going to a decision, I like it. But if you're asking me, whoever closes as the underdog, if any, they might both be favorites, bet on them. Okay, bet on them if you're going to go with one of the underdogs. But for me, I think Rafael Fiziev will win. Another case where I'm rooting for Ruffi, but I think Fiziev. So we are picking who we think are going to win on this card. Don't talk about the road to the UFC predictions earlier when I was just picking based on their appearance and their name. Don't listen to that part. Just skip that part. Just come to the good stuff here on the main card. But let's get into the co-main event real quick here. And I was just saying his name. He's one of my favorite fighters. Number 8 ranked Benoit God of War Saint-Denis. I love him, guys. I'm a big Benoit Saint-Denis fan ever since 2021, where he stepped in at UFC 267 on short notice, up 15 pounds against Lizzy dos Santos, and didn't get finished. Dude's been on just a roll since then. And after having a rough 2024, he bounced back massively in 2025. The comeback fighter of the year with some amazing finishes. And here he is getting a shot against Dan Hooker. And Dan Hooker, kind of part of this old breed of fighters. When we talk about Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Dan Hooker's kind of a part of this crew. However, he's just never really been on that level per se. So in terms of the discrepancies in size here, Dan Hooker is 6 foot, Benoit's 5'11", Dan Hooker 75 inches in reach, Benoit 73. Dan Hooker fights switch, Benoit fights southpaw, and as of right now, Benoit Saint-Denis is over a minus 300 favorite, with Dan Hooker in the plus 240 range. Hooker is 14-13, Benoit is 16-3 with one no contest. We'll start with Dan Hooker. He is ranked number 6 in the world at lightweight. He is 35 years old from Auckland, trains at City Kickboxing, and 18 of his 24 wins are by finish with 11 KOs and 7 subs. Of his 13 defeats, he's been finished 7 times, 4 of those by sub, and he's gone 14-9 in the UFC. As of late, it's hard to look back 3 years, but Dan Hooker was on a nice little winning streak until August of 2024 when he just, after beating Mateusz Gamrot, decided not to fight for the longest time. Finally came back a year and a half later against Arman Tsarukyan and just couldn't get it done. Arman's grappling was just too much for him, and when we talk about good grappling, we're talking about Benoit Saint-Denis. I mean, this guy can use the grappling, can use the striking. He's the total package. Former France Special Ops. I mean, this guy's a killer. 30 years old from France, 16 wins, 16 finishes, 5 knockouts and 11 subs. Both of his losses have come by knockout, or 2 of them. 2 of the 3, I should say. And he's gone 8-3 in the UFC. Like I said, debuted on short notice, then went on a 5-fight winning streak. 2024 was kind of propelled to stardom, losing to Dustin Poirier at UFC 299 and then losing his first main event to Renato Moicano. But what did he do? Fought a up-and-comer in Kyle Propalik at UFC 315, then became the first man to defeat Mauricio Ruffi in the UFC using his grappling, and ended the year knocking out Beneil Dariush in 16 seconds. So, my prediction here is obvious. I don't even hate Dan Hooker. Never hated Dan Hooker, but I just think Dan Hooker has never really elevated his game. You know, I always look back at that Dustin Poirier fight. We've never gotten that Dan Hooker again. We've seen flashes against Mateusz Gamrot, against Jalen Turner. You know, he can have that dog in him. But when it really comes to being in his prime, I just don't think he's in it. And I think Benoit Saint-Denis is on this career revitalization. And I think he submits Dan Hooker again in round number 2. And I think Dan Hooker gets really pissed off here. I think, you know, it's even like throwing his mouth guard after he loses. But I see him getting submitted with a rear naked chokehold. Round number 2, just getting taken down. I think striking, he'll have a bit of an advantage. But Benoit's smart. We saw him do it against... who was I saying? Against Mauricio Ruffi, as I was just saying, and he's probably going to utilize it here again. So give me Benoit Saint-Denis round 2 submission, which brings us to the main event, our second main event, our second title fight of the year, as we have Alexander Volkanovski, the greatest featherweight champion of all time, taking on the number 2 ranked Diego Lopez, the number 5 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet. Alexander Volkanovski, we've covered him so many times. Actually, how many times have we covered Volk here on the podcast? I mean, I've been watching him for so long, but over 3 years of Volk fights covered here on the pod. He is, of course, the favorite. Coming into this one, Diego Lopez is the underdog as opposed to their first fight. Volkanovski, 27-4. Diego is 27-7. So pretty crazy. Diego Lopez is 6 years younger and has 3 more professional fights than him. He has 5 inches in height over Volk, and he has 1 inch in reach. Both men fight orthodox. 6 years younger is Diego Lopez. None of that has really ever played a factor. We'll start with Volkanovski, legend of the game, Alexander the Great. What a good nickname. From Australia, 16 of his 27 wins are by finish with 13 KOs. All of his 4 defeats, been knocked out 3 times, and he's gone 14-3 in the UFC. Now, of course, Volk was on that legendary winning streak before running into Islam Makhachev. Of course, chased glory, lost twice, then was knocked out by Itil Pira, but took a year off. Came back April 2025, took on Diego Lopez, one of my favorite main events of the year, and that was just a super close fight. It really was. For Diego Lopez, you know, from Brazil, now trains out of Mexico, 23 of his 27 wins are by finish. He's a fishing machine, 11 KOs and 12 subs. Of his 7 losses, only ever been finished twice. Losses so far in the UFC, Movsar Evloev and Alexander Volkanovski. The kid's been incredible. He's gone 6-1 besides fighting Volkanovski. And after losing to Volk, he went out and had a main event against Gene Silva, where he absolutely ran through him. It was awesome. Fight of the night and performance of the night. I'm excited to see what happens here. Now, the one thing with this is all we can really do is look at their first fight and see what changes they could have made. And I'm kind of viewing this not in the same lens of Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, but when those two fought back in their little saga, it started with Brandon Moreno after losing to Deiveson Figueiredo at, I want to say it was UFC, oh my gosh, it was the first UFC 270. He went out and won an interim title, and he went out and fought in the time that Deiveson was just sitting down. And when they fought again, he ended the feud by becoming the champion again. And what I'm seeing here is I don't doubt Volk's greatness. I really don't. And when we look at the first fight, the one thing we see is that Volk kept the pressure on Lopez the whole fight. Power was with Lopez, all right? Only 63 significant strikes. He was the only ever the one who we were like, oh my gosh, he's going to be the one to knock out Volk. Never Volk to knock out Lopez. And I'm seeing similar things here. You know, Diego went out and fought a tough guy, and Gene Silva got through him, and Volk just hasn't fought him. And Volk also went 1 for 11 on takedowns. After landing his first takedown, went 0 for 10 after that against Diego Lopez. And I think Diego Lopez, this is his time. This is his time. You know, everyone has kryptonites, and maybe Volk's, you know, kryptonite to Diego Lopez like he was to Max Holloway, but we bet on underdogs. That's where the money is made, and we should have bet on Gaethje last week, it appears, and this week we are going to go with Diego Lopez to win. And to make it more fun, I'm going to say by knockout. You may be like, Zach, that's crazy. There's no way that can happen. I just want to point out a fun fact to you, that as much as Volkanovski had a great win last time, let's not act like he's 2-3 in the last 5 years, in the last 3 years. In the last 3 years, he's only won 2 fights against Zaire and Diego. Now, obviously, he's lost to 2 of the greatest of all time, Islam and Nito Pura, respectively. But, we got to bring up that point. So, I am going to go with Diego Lopez to become the new men's featherweight champion. I think he can get it done. I really do. I believe in you, Diego Lopez, to win the battle, to become victorious, and to become the new men's featherweight champion. I'm excited. I really am. It should be a good card, and I'm excited to see what takes place. But as I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to tally up all our predictions real quick here, and I'm going to let you guys know real quick how good our parlay is going to be, because we're going to win some money. Alrighty, we've never done this before. A live parlay cooked up on the podcast. Let's get logged in and create a parlay to retire our family. Let's do it, guys, of course. So first off, we have Diego Lopez plus 120. We have Benoit Saint Denis minus 310. We have Rafael Fiziev plus 102. He's the underdog. Taoshon Teixeira minus 345. Quinlan Sakiad minus 1,050. Billy Alicana minus 250. Cam Ralston, minus 360. Torres Finney, plus 1,360. Oban Elliott, plus 114. We have Yiza, minus 205. We have, we have Sang-Uk Kim at plus 124. Okay. We have Sebastian Sosley at minus 135. Sulan Grabo at minus 250. And Aaron Tao at plus 105. Can I even make this bet, guys? I don't know. All I know is $5 win $6,000. $5 to win $6,000. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Will this hit? I don't know, but we're going to place it because why not? And also, I want you guys to go out there, place some bets on, I'm talking, for the main card, with the main event, and with the prelims. Mix it up a bit, okay? That's what you got to do. And also, tune into the Royal Rumble. I mean, Saturday is going to be a great day for viewing, just excitement. The Royal Rumble, the UFC 325, TKO is having themselves a good weekend. So get out there, guys. Have some fun. Make your life full of surprises. Right now I'm in such a weird stage of life. Starting the corporate job, trying to figure out how I'm going to support myself. It's a very interesting time. I'm just happy to have all of you along for the ride. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night, and I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.